Hi, Linda Basso here. Today, I am going to share the 3 mindsets that you have to have if you want to figure out your marketing. And we all need to do that. Am I right? Okay, sure. We have some marketing that's already working for us, but if you have that itch to grow your business, or maybe you're thinking about adding a new product or service in, well, then you're back to figuring it out. Okay, which is where I come in. I help small business owners do their marketing in ways that are authentic and actually feel good. So I want you to figure out your marketing and stay sane while you do it. All right, so let's dive in. Now, just where did this idea of figureoutable come from? Well, a few years ago, I heard Marie Forleo and her idea that everything is figureoutable. When she described this in one of her Marie TV episodes, it was like instant recognition on my side. Because weirdly enough, for my entire life, I've had the crazy idea that I can do anything, and I do mean anything. Even if I've never heard of it before, or I don't have an obvious talent for it, or even if I've been told that it can't be done, I still see a way that I could do it if I wanted to. So even though Marie was naming it for me, she was not introducing me to anything new. I was like, of course it's figureoutable. Why is she even pointing that out? Of course, and then in the next second, I thought, oh crap, I can't believe she came up with such a memorable term for this idea. Why didn't I think of that? Okay, so this idea sort of seems to be baked into my DNA. It's not an attitude that I adopted because I thought it could serve me, nor is it a defensive posture against my sometimes too loud critical voice that says things like, I'm not enough. Anyone else have one of those? So I have plenty of both of those, by the way. This one just seems to be how I'm wired, this idea that I can do anything. And because I've always believed that I really could do anything, the only question I ever had was, what do I want to do? Which I'll admit is not always super easy to know. It takes me a minute or a few days or even months sometimes to be sure what I want, all right? But once I know what I want, and because I have the inner permission telling me that I can do it, I set about figuring out the how of just how to make it happen. Okay, so as a child, this meant asking a ton of questions. As a young adult, it meant reading a ton of books and taking classes. Today, it means that Google, YouTube, and I are sort of inseparable, right? And in marketing, it means that I've studied with so many coaches, sat through thousands of articles and YouTube videos, and done a ton of courses. Now, does this mean that I know everything there is to know about marketing? No, not even close. Okay, but I do know this. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, about marketing your business that can't be figured out. There's no situation, no circumstance, and no amount of inner flaw that somehow only you have that somehow makes your marketing mysterious and unfigureoutable. It's not true. Okay, so the only thing that's standing between you and doing marketing that will take your business to the next level is learning how to do it. Now, I am not saying this to be flip, and I'm not saying that it's going to be totally easy. There are tons of hows in marketing, and knowing which of those will turn on your particular faucet of clients does take some experimentation and some efforting. And guess what? You're going to stumble, you're going to grumble, and you're going to outright fail sometimes on that path, but not if you don't get going. Okay, so it is the act of learning about, trying on, and refining that helps you figure out what works in your marketing for your business. Okay, it may not always be easy, but it is simple. The info is definitely out there, so you have to go get it. And if there's something in the way of that for you, move it out of the way. A mistake that small business owners often make is not getting enough information about their choices and then strategically sorting through them before they act, all right? Instead, there's a whole lot of chasing random ideas or believing that what's trending is a total must, and a lot of sitting in, I don't know what I should do. Anyone know what I'm saying? In my next article, I talk about 4 steps to making marketing figureoutable. But first, we must consider the mindset shifts that have to occur before you have permission to figure it out. So drum roll, please. Here are the 3 mindsets that will help find the marketing that works for you to build your business. First is drop what I call the comparison blues. This means to stop constantly comparing yourself to where someone else is and coming out feeling like you're not where you should be, you're not good enough, you're not far enough along, blah, 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 okay? On the spiritual plane, there's no such thing as comparison. We are all exactly where we should be. All right, so if you want to go somewhere different, do it. But you probably won't if you shackle yourself with this weighty comparison anchor. A comparison should be used for one thing only, to accurately assess where you are and where you want to be. Okay, when you come at it from this grounded perspective, then you can take in how that someone else got where they are and assess whether that would work for you or not. Starting where you actually are gives you all the power of being in the present moment. All right, the second one is to know that confidence comes from acting, not knowing it ahead of time, right? So there are no guarantees, and no one is going to tell you that it's going to work out, right? And there's no amount of sitting around and thinking, maybe this will work for me or maybe it won't, that's going to give you an answer. This is a defense, actually, that our ego uses to keep us from avoiding the discomfort of change, but it doesn't actually give us confidence. Rather, it sort of drains it, right? So it's taking steps toward figuring things out. That is the thing that actually gives us confidence. It's in enacting the experiments in our marketing and trying on new behaviors that we learn how strong and capable we really are. Confidence is earned, not gifted. Right, and finally, the third one is make it possible. What do I mean by make it possible? Well, focus on what could be rather than on what's not. Yes, you know, when we were talking about comparison before, you got grounded in what is, and that is definitely a needed first step toward moving forward. But then you have to start looking at what's actually possible and what you want. If you're constantly looking at what you don't have or how much further there is to go, it's totally defeating, right? So keep an eye on the long-term outcome that you are hoping for and be really immersed in just the next step that you need to take. It's true that a journey of 1,000 steps starts with one, but it's a much more pleasurable trip if you are musing about the pleasant outcomes that are waiting for you at the end, and you're only concerning yourself with the step that you are actually in the act of taking. All right. So look for my next video, the 4 steps to figureoutable marketing. And until then, please know that all the universe is rooting for you to figure it out.